welcome to another episode of the Elevated Beauty Podcast. I'm your host, Emily Fouts, owner of Elevated Beauty Aesthetics in Sierra Vista, Arizona. And today's episode is going to be on theme with the season, beauty industry spooky shit. I couldn't think of a better title. Basically, spooky stuff that's like kind of scary, damaging, not cool. In the beauty industry. The beauty industry is a billion-dollar industry, probably more than that, probably multi-billion-dollar industry. And so there are a lot of practices out here and products being sold and things being done with those dollar signs in mind, and less so the ethics behind it all. And so I just kind of want to expose my opinion rather on some of these practices that I personally consider to be harmful, damaging, or just like untasteful. So if you want to hear about some of these things, then as always, just keep on listening. Okay, so let's get right into it. I have about 6 different topics to kind of go off of. First one I'm gonna say is, I don't see like a lot of my followers. I follow a lot of professional licensed estheticians, and there are some licensed estheticians that offer this treatment. And if you are one of them that is offering this and you're listening to this, sorry, but my research and from what I know, this is a really damaging procedure, a really damaging treatment. So we all are familiar with microneedling. I just did a episode on that. So this is called BB Glow, I believe is what a lot of people call it. So what they do is, I'm actually not even sure what type of pigment it is. I don't know if it's like the same type of pigment that you would tattoo with, and then just match it to your skin tone or what. But BB Glow is implementing pigment during a microneedling treatment. Now you might think like, okay, well, isn't it like essentially the same thing as tattooing then? You're injecting pigment into a tattoo, so why should that be bad for you on your face? Well, the reason for doing BB Glow is to correct the tone of your face. So they're putting pigment over any hyperpigmentation. It doesn't make the pigmentation go away. They're covering it up with pigment. And you may know, if you have a tattoo, over time that tattoo changes, the color oxidizes, your face color, like it's gonna change, and there might be some parts that accept the pigment, might be some parts that don't. It's also a really high chance of producing granulomas. It's a really unsafe procedure. I don't know how it got popularized so much. Maybe you did get BB Glow before and you didn't have a bad effect. Probably a lot of the pigment just like filtered through and didn't stick around. But I'm telling you, if you have BB Glow and you have that pigment in your skin, it's going to change over time. You're not going to have like an even skin tone. That's not what you do for an even skin tone. There's just so many bad things that can happen with that. When you are microneedling, you shouldn't be implementing anything into the skin besides like hyaluronic acid or specially formulated serums that are compatible with your skin. I just don't like it. I think BB Glow is super scary, and I urge you, if you are interested in it, do more research, see the cases where like it has been unfavorable, talk to people who've gotten it done. I don't know, I just don't like it, and it doesn't scream good practice to me. So that's the first one that I'm really not a fan of. This other one is also going to be controversial. I guess I'm like the queen of controversy on this episode. So aesthetic injectors. Estheticians working under a medical supervisor. So say if you work in a med spa, obviously you're under the direction of a physician, and depending on the clinic, that medical director, whoever the operating physician is, they can make the call that whoever is working under them, and it might vary state by state, but in most of the states that I've lived in, I have looked into this, And a lot of the clinics that have estheticians on staff, so dermatology clinics, they will hire estheticians on staff or laser technicians or just like in-house estheticians that provide medically directed treatments, treatments that would require a medical director that are more aggressive, like chemical peels or just whatever. There are so many different things. Medical grade chemical peels, microneedling even, RF microneedling, laser. So those type of dermatological or medically supervised treatments. So the physician can make the call to let his staff work under his medical license, and sometimes estheticians will do injections like Botox or even fillers under the direction and training of their medical director. To me, I think that's super sketch, and I don't think it happens too often. Most of the time, injectors will be like physician's assistant, nurse practitioner, I don't know. But most of the time, they're not estheticians, but it can happen. You can have aesthetic injectors. And even if, an MD or somebody like trained you to do it, I feel like that's like lacking a code of ethics, because there's no way that like them just giving you this information and then doing it, to me at least, I don't feel like you know enough to be doing that, to be injecting a needle into deep layers, specific, layers of the face. There are nerves there. There's all kind of underlying structures that you need to be medically trained for, and I would never want to be injected by an esthetician. I would want to be injected by a physician's assistant or a dermatologist or a nurse practitioner. I wouldn't feel comfortable, and I'm sorry if you are an esthetician and you are an injector. Maybe you haven't had anything weird happen and you feel like you have been taught very well. But to me, I just don't like it at all. And some people might even not know that that's the thing, but it is. There are a lot of med spas and dermatology clinics that hire estheticians, and then maybe they have an influx of these services and they will train their estheticians to do it. Anyways, that's another one. Then we have at-home chemical peels. You guys know, you can get anything online these days. Does it mean it's pure? No. So a lot of the times, like Walmart, if you go on walmart.com, you can literally type in like any type of skincare line and it'll pop up. But it's not directly from the professional skincare line that estheticians carry. It's from like a repackager or something like that. So it's like tampered product. So, Glymed Plus, which is the line I carry, if you go on the website, they have like a forewarning that says, these websites, a list of websites do not carry our products. If you see our products on any other website besides Glymed Plus, it is not us. So people will get, the packaging, they'll relabel it. It could be diluted. Anything could be done to it. So at-home chemical peels can be really scary, but you can also, there are some brands that have chemical peels that they distribute direct to consumer. Ordinary. I'm sorry if you guys like Ordinary. I do not like the Ordinary. They have a really popular one. It's like a purpley or red one. And though I have heard from people that it is effective, it's as simple as overusing it, causing damage, or using it with the improper product lineup. So it's really scary to have that level of strength in products. People just being able to incorporate that into their routine alongside other things that can produce, chemical burns. Another thing on the Ordinary, not just their high level peel that they have, people really like it because of the price point, and I understand that, but it is that price point for a reason. It's because they get really simple ingredients. And I'm not even going to speak on the quality of their ingredients because I don't know about that. I would assume it's low quality because it's so cheap. But if I pick up one of my Glymed products and I look at the ingredients list, it's going to be a little meaty because they formulated it with purpose, and they formulated it with things that complement. Sorry if you heard that, was my speaker turning off. They formulate it with complementing ingredients. And a lot of the times, if you have, like, say, ferulic acid, when you put that with vitamin C, it creates an antioxidant powerhouse. So The Ordinary, I find they have very basic formulations, and that's where consumers can get confused, because they might have like a hyaluronic acid serum, basically just water and hyaluronic acid, and then they might have like a BHA serum, and then versus you could have one product that has all those different benefits and ingredients together in one. So that's what I don't like about The Ordinary. They make it too confusing, really, really simple ingredients. Then you would have to have this long, 7-8 step routine to be able to benefit from all your products. And then those products might not layer well on top of each other because of the way they're formulated. So The Ordinary, to me, I don't like it at all. But this thing that is so scary about that is the strength of that peel, that people do a lot of harm to their barrier with. So I've talked about this one before, clean beauty. I have an episode on it about why I hate the term clean beauty, what I feel like it really means to me, and what I think people understand it to be. But a lot of people think clean is just like 100% organic, free of preservatives. Preservatives are very, very important whenever you're dealing with anything that has been packaged. You need the preservatives to basically preserve this. Otherwise, bacteria can grow in it, mold, staph, like all these nasty, raunchy things. And then you just have this sitting on the counter while all of these bacterium and things are growing in your product. So no, that type of clean is harmful and not healthy for you. And if you do like that type of stuff without preservatives, I hope you're using it in like 1 month. But yeah, clean beauty, it can be a harmful term. I think it kind of got skewed a little bit, just kind of rehashing that episode. Clean beauty to me is non-harmful products. So there are a lot of things that different people will deem harmful, but to me, carcinogens, so like hydroquinone, I like to stay away from that because it is a proven carcinogen. But then again, if you want to get really into it, there are a lot of things, of course, in our environment and that we live with and that we consume that have levels of carcinogens in them. But it would take like way more than you could ever consume in a lifetime for that carcinogen to actually be cancer causing. So that's kind of where it gets a little muddy, and you're like, does it really matter? Because, this isn't actually going to be cancer causing because I would have to consume it 3,000 more times than average. But for me, like I said, hydroquinone, I like to stay away from it. And in my mind, I kind of think too, like, if I kind of limit my carcinogens to a little bit, that lowers my chance, because if I am like having all these different carcinogens in my life, like if I have some in my skincare, and then I have some in my foods, and then in my body care products, and then in my perfumes and all these different things, like, is it going to build up all accumulatively together and kind of culminate a carcinogen, But anyways, clean beauty can be harmful. There are a lot of things that people say are harmful, and it's really not, because it's carcinogenic on a super, super low level. Like I said, you would have to consume way more than you ever could in your lifetime. So that's one of those things where it's like, be conscious, but don't scare yourself. Okay, so besides clean beauty, this is one thing that I hate. I used to do lashes. I used to do eyelash extensions when I was back in Colorado, and it was really big there. And it depends on state by state. you don't have to be like a licensed instructor or a certified instructor to actually hold classes. So and Arizona is one of them. Like, I could do Brazilian waxing classes to people if I wanted. As a licensed esthetician, I could like sell that as a class. But there actually was this one girl in Colorado Springs that wasn't even licensed, and she was doing eyelash extension courses. But just lash techs that aren't even licensed. So a lot of the times people that do these classes, they will teach them to people that aren't licensed. And that's okay. I mean, like, if you're a student or if you're thinking about going into cosmetology school or something like that, and you're like, oh, why don't I go ahead and do this lash class because that's something that I want to do after I graduate. It'll give me like an upper hand, or maybe I'll get a better idea and see if that's something I even want to do. That's cool. And like, you know, some people might want to do it for fun, and they might want to be able to do it with their friend, and, you know, you and your friend can do each other's lashes. But a lot of the times these licensed lash techs will do these classes, and totally fine. I'm not judging them for doing that. I think that's great. But a lot of times licensed lash techs will offer these classes to people that aren't licensed, and then in turn, those people that are not licensed will use their information from that class and start their own side hustle, operating a business that's not legitimate, and be doing lashes on people, paying customers, and it ends up being really bad because, yeah, it might be a wonderful class, it might be lined up perfectly, like the course material, everything might be great, but like, you're not going to learn enough in 3 days of course material to start doing your own stuff. And unfortunately, a lot of times people do, and then they damage people's eyelashes and their eyes. And I mean, it's scary because it happens so much. And I don't think it's something we're going to get away of. We just have to kind of educate our clients on proper how to search for a proper technician, sadly, because there are a lot of people out there that aren't being transparent or aren't letting people know that indeed they are not licensed. So just kind of like spotting, hey, do they have a website that you can book with? Are you having to text them or something? Or like, you know, do they have their license displayed in their place of business, wherever they're operating from? And lashes are one of those things that really started booming within the last probably 5 years. And so like everybody wants a piece of it, including myself. I started doing it, and then I realized that's not where my passion was. I wasn't happy in the long run doing it, so I decided to stop doing it. But yeah, be careful. Know who is doing your eyelashes. And lastly, beauty influencers. In this day and age, anything can go viral in like a second. So, I mean, it doesn't even have to be true. It doesn't, you know, anything can go viral. And so there are a lot of beauty influencers in particular. And, you know, people are impressionable, especially the youth. And so people are seeing these beauty influencers saying like, oh, do this for your skin, do this for blah, 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 giving them all these different recommendations. And like, I don't want to say misusing your platform, because that's not really what they're doing. They're like trying to make money. But it's just like improper guidance, I guess. And it's scary just like how much of an influence people can have. And then, you know, people that are watching these videos are going to be like, oh, that worked for them. Let me go do this to my skin. But then, you know, maybe they have rosacea or something, and then they start using glycolic acid, and then but you know, that's just something. People have access to anything. People can grab whatever they want, but it is scary that like there's these beauty influencers out here giving all this information, and it's just like valued so high on a pedestal because their video went viral. But then there are these licensed professionals that have better advice and stuff, and it's just like the access to the audience isn't there. So I guess what I'm trying to say is it's scary, like, who does have access. to offer skincare and beauty advice, and you can just be anyone. Yeah, I don't know if I relayed that message clearly, but like, for example, Hiram, he's not a licensed professional, and he was so popular, and he went viral, and he has his own like skincare line or something like that, and it's crazy to me, so many people were following him and like watching his videos for advice. And yeah, I mean, anybody can do beauty reviews and stuff like that. It's a free country. Like, I'm not saying only licensed professionals have the right to talk about beauty care items and skincare, absolutely not, but like, you shouldn't be giving people advice and recommendations on stuff if it's not your profession, you know? I don't know, maybe that's just me. Alright guys, that's it. I actually hate talking about stuff that I don't like because it just sounds really negative, but I wanted to record some things, just shine a light on things that I'm not a fan of and things that I consider to be spooky in the skincare industry or just the beauty industry as a whole. As always, thank you guys so much for listening, and I will see you next Monday, 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time for another episode.